Schumer looks to jam the Republicans on their bipartisan infrastructure deal. Manchin says no to filibuster exception to voting rights because Manchin also apparently very disturbed by the infrastructure climate action. Also, coincidentally, made hundreds of thousands of dollars last year on selling coal. Meanwhile, families start receiving Biden bucks. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says, let's make it permanent. Andrew Cuomo to be questioned in a sexual harassment investigation this weekend. LA County reinstates its indoor mask mandate in light of the COVID Delta resurgence. New report, U.S. undercounts extreme heat work injuries. Lastly, Senate Dems plot a way to do immigration reform in that reconciliation bill. All this and more on today's program. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for being here. Joining me, as always, on this casual Friday. Emma Vidwin. Hello, Emma.
Hello, Sam.
Great. Right. You're very sing-songy today.
I was trying to swing it up.
Switch it up between being sing-songy and not being sing-songy.
Yeah, or being ornery with you. If you want me to go down that road?
No.
I can do it.
All right. No, I've heard that tone before. Believe me. No, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. We can just move by. And we've got plenty to talk about. This infrastructure bill is heating up. And we're going to talk to David Dane about that, as well as the executive order that Biden signed. I guess it was on Monday. Certainly announced it, I think it was the end of last week. I think it was signed on Monday. That has a whole host of anti-turf, anti-monopoly, anti-competitive measures that we will be discussing more as the weeks go on. But David Dane certainly very much on top of this anti-monopoly stuff, and it's written on it as well. We will talk about that with him. In the meantime, here is Sherry Brown. He is speaking on the Senate floor. Remember now, in the recovery bill, the $1.9 trillion, was it? The $1.5 trillion? $9 trillion COVID relief bill. There was a provision to provide American families with the threshold, the couples making less than $150,000. And I think it actually tapers off as you get even higher incomes, if I understand. But up to $300 per child for each child you have in your household. That's at $150,000. And then I think the numbers actually continue to sort of phase out. The next 50,000 or maybe a couple could be up as far as $250,000.
I mean, that's from
And then $300 per month, right? And this is a big change in the way that we're giving these type of tax credits. Tax credits, but they're payments is what they are, really.
And they have to be branded as tax credits. It's Democrats can't use it.
Right. Although, people are starting to call them Biden bucks, I guess, and we'll see how that flies. And the innovation here, in addition to the idea that you're going to get this without, significant needs testing and without any type of qualifications on it, is that it's also being delivered on a monthly basis, which makes it much easier to plan out. Anybody who lives on an APEX budget understands this. Makes it much easier to plan out when you're getting those monthly payments. There's a lot of research on this too, that it provides a lot of flexibility for people living in low income to it literally saves them money because they're able to sort of plan it out and not develop any kind of large bills that become overwhelming to pay or get run up to interest. Here is Sherrod Brown speaking on the Senate floor, reminded every Republican on that floor that the money that is being spent to American families right now is being sent despite these people.
The Republican Party, which always votes for tax cuts for the richest people in the country, always, and party line votes always under the very discredited theory that tax cuts, the dollars trickle down to workers and to the middle class and the rest of the country. So always vote for big tax cuts for rich people, but they oppose twice, unanimously oppose every single time, oppose the child tax credit. Now, this isn't a tax cut for rich people who can buy another home or another yacht or another vacation place. This is money in the pockets of working class and middle class and struggling people from Maine and Ohio and Texas and Iowa and all over the country. So today people should start checking their bank accounts, looking at their phone, checking their bank accounts, look at their mailbox starting today. Today, Friday, Saturday, Monday. The great majority of American families will see this tax cut. They'll see this $250 or $300 a month. If we care about family values, if we care about our families, give them a little more help. It will make a huge difference in their lives. That's why this is so important. It starts today. It's then next month and the month after for a year. We need to renew this. We need to make sure it's permanent. We do that, it's going to launch a whole generation of kids, give them more opportunity. What's not to love about
that? Not much. Otherwise, we would put some thoughts. We found some things I did not love about it. It's going to people who don't have incomes.
They must not deserve it.
They must not deserve it. It is weird that, and we'll talk to Dan about this too, this notion of like, you're getting a tax cut in the mail. Wait, what?
Yeah, right.
You're getting a tax cut in the mail? I'm getting a tax cut in the mail? How about I'm getting money in the mail? There is such an aversion in our politics to the idea that government, first off, let's be clear, the government always redistributes wealth. Always, always, always. The question is, in which way will those distributions flow? That's it. The question is society organized to provide help to those who need it the most, or need it somewhat?
The children.
Or the children, but also like, family. I mean, just broadly speaking, who's going to get the benefit of government? And it's either going to be the vast majority of the people who are going to get some benefit from government, or a small group of people who are going to get the majority of the benefit from government. And it doesn't matter what they're paying in taxes and this and that. It nets out, they're getting a bigger benefit. And that's what people are responding to when Fox starts to complain about these things. They're saying, wait a second, nobody's not supposed to feel that.
Right. I mean, my point about the children, though, is that we first save the children to certain sections on the right for quite a long time. We don't save them from starvation. Programs like this.
They're talking about saving them from critical race studies in kindergarten. That's what they're trying
and
to do.
satanic, different kinds of pedophiles who are drinking their blood, I guess. But I agree with you completely. And if the Democrats were smart, they would, Janet Yellen already sees this. She's saying that there should be a permanent. They need to, one, program is not as a tax credit as payment because we saw Andrew Yang had a million flaws, but UBI, there was a thirst for it, and it wasn't just in the Democratic primary. But these kinds of programs with payments can help certain kinds of certain people just have a baseline of income for purposes that they have sense, and Democrats should be able to do it.
The data shows they wouldn't too. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking the day to day. Folks, this program is sponsored by one of our favorite sponsors. We're talking about Sunset Lake. You find them at Sunset Lake.
They sent me a bunch of stuff, and I want to thank them for the extra stuff that they sent.
What? What's going on? What did they send you?
I volunteered.
What?
And a bunch of CDs.
Yeah, that's a little payola going on there.
But I used the feature last night. Not bad. I mean, very good.
So I went to see the doctor the other day. He said, you kept your weight down. How'd you do that? And I said, well, I'm getting more sleep. And he said, how do you do that? Because he also knows he's not prescribing you as much anime as he used to. And I said, see what you do. And he said, good. And and he doesn't, my doctor doesn't want me to say the letters out exactly. Because he's very sensitive. And I said, this picture, I take this picture every night, and it's every night, but like 4 nights a week, and it helps get more sleep. And so I'm not eating to stay awake. Anyways, that's not the point. I'm also staying away from Sunset Lake, their fudge, although it's delicious, and it's got embedded with egg as well, and they also have coffee, they have pre-rolls, and they have smalls that you can chop up and put into your other stuff, right, Matt? That's legal now. It says they have gummies, they have the gummies, they have a solve, which, as you know, is great for, it's great for, it's got arnica, it's great for your muscle pain, but I use it to treat my eczema, and I've had a lot of success with it. They also have a lotion. Great company. Their product is tested by third-party testers. They include these tests with everything they send out, and it's on their website as well. A lot of places you buy this stuff, and you still know what's in it. They get it tested, and they make it really, really transparent. They also have great business practices, mostly employee-owned, and $15 minimum wage. They don't use any pesticides. They use integrated pest management, organic fertilizer, and like I say, they're movement partners. They've contributed quite a bit to their local community activists, and have been very helpful in terms of the St. Vincent's nurse strike happening up in Worcester. There's a Worcester employee working there, packing a lot of the stuff that gets shipped out to. So it's a great company. The fans of the show, Lefty's Best is the coupon code. Lefty's Best. You get 20% off whatever you order. Lefty's Best, Sunset Lake today.com. So check it out. Also, the show sponsored by the people who provided me with my breakfast today. Made it right my job.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta order more. Healthy breakfast does not have to be boring, folks. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors you love, but without all the sugar and the junk you're probably trying to avoid. You should be. Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar. Depending on the flavor, 13 to 14 grams of protein, only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, only 140 calories per each serving as well. It is keto friendly, it is gluten free, it is grain free, it is soy free, it is low carb, it is GMO free. You can build your own box, or you can buy a box of 4 of the same flavors, but you can do a custom version of it. We got cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon. For me, I'm a big cinnamon fan. I had a couple of it this morning. I've gone through all those 4 or 5 boxes. I've gone through it. They're delicious. It's delicious. It really is. And the good news is you can both for yourself and for your kids. And give them a healthy breakfast. And then you're love it. And you're not a program. Go to magicspoon.com/majority report to grab your delicious cereal and try it today. Be sure to use our promo code majority report at checkout to save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like for any reason, they refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, it's magicspoon.com/majority report. Use the code majority report to save $5 off. Also, lastly, summertime, boys, it's sweaty out there, and yeah, you know what that means? Swamp ass. How do you fight that? Well, try a refreshing spray from Color Fishy will get. There you go. I don't know if we meant that to not refreshing spray.
I think they did.
No,
I think they're
Fishy will
very
get.
intentional.
Yes, that's true, actually. Pick up a brand new Hello Tushy 3.0 modern bidet attachment, ladies and gentlemen. I was aware of bidets for a long time, but I discovered them during COVID. When Kyle said to me, like, we got a bidet, but it was a hugely expensive one. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. But then I got the 2.0 Hello Tushy. I've since upgraded to a 3.0. 3.0, stylish, it's eco-friendly, it's super easy to install, and it saves you, of course, money. It saves you money with your toilet paper. And the good thing about the 3.0, it doesn't just clean your butt with a fresh spray of water, but it also cleans itself with a smart spray automatic nozzle. It attaches, there's two things about it that amaze people when they get it. One, how easy it is to install. Literally, you take your toilet seat up, you slide it in, you put your toilet seat back down, and you don't need to have any new electricity, no added plumbing. You screw it right into your existing plumbing, and it is very, very easily priced. It's a great way if you've ever been bidet curious. Buy curious. No.
I think that's what they were.
Bidet curious.
The day period.
That's
Oh, that's just convenient. Mine.
It's not convenient. It's just, like, honestly, that's what it was. I was very bidet curious, but I wasn't doing tests. I'm not going to go get like a aerator. I'm not going to have them install a whole bidet in my house and find out, like, wait a second, I'm not. This is a great way to try it out. It's fantastic. And I don't even need to, I don't even have to get out to stay on the screen. 60-day risk-free guarantee and a 12-month warranty. Check it out. Hello Tushy. You can defeat swamp ass. Go to hellotushy.com/majority. Get 10% off plus free shipping. The special offer for our listeners at hellotushy.com/majority is 10% off. hellotushy.com/majority. All right, I want to welcome to the program the executive editor of the American Prospect. So welcome back to the program. The frequent guest over the years. David Day. And there he is.
There he is.
David, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, Chief Brady.
Let me just start by saying I've signed up to a new newsletter. And it is the infrastructure newsletter. You may not be aware of this, but it's at the American Prospect. I had a picture of it. Yeah, here it is. It is a newsletter that
I sent it through the mail.
And you call it tax credit too, right, David?
I printed out the tweet. And then I print it out, then I send it to myself.
Do you have it in the printout for you every morning?
No, that's Brendan's. Unfortunately,
There you go. There you go. Yeah, we print out I don't look at Twitter on the computer. I have a team that puts out all our tweets, and then I read them.
yes, we know how old Sam is.
Yeah, exactly. The computer gets me very confused. I like to see people tweet one page at a time. No, but this newsletter is great. You've done this with the 100-day agenda. You did it with, I think it's the Green New Deal as well, I can't remember. Oh, no, right, COVID. You did it with the virus. and 100 Days, and now this, and because this is really, we are in, this is a fascinating time in our politics. It's not one that I would have necessarily predicted. You told me like 2 years ago, Joe Biden's going to be president, and it's possible in July of 2021, we could be looking at such a monumental piece of legislation. This would be huge. Wouldn't it? Or no?
You know, I mean, good. I think the answer is on good and good. We're miles away from the things getting done. The blueprint, certainly, I mean, this is the state of the union announcement policy actively on legislation, or two, really, bipartisan bill, 14 bipartisan bill, or, and the budget. So, yeah, we're talking about $40 billion in public investments that before we needed in the United States for decades or more. And so, yes, it was a monumental achievement in both the issue areas of education, healthcare, and public works, and climate, and trying to make progress on both of issues simultaneously. But as I said, long way to go.
All right. Well, I can see that you just dying to be a wet blanket about this. And I mean, and fair enough. I mean, it obviously there's a huge hill to climb. So maybe we should start with the how high the hill is, and then once you walk us through all the things that have to happen, we can talk about what's in the bill, or should we start with that? I mean, to the extent that we know what's in the bill, let's talk about that because, like you say, there's a lot of legislation in these two things. Let's start with the bipartisan bill. I mean, and I know this is broad strokes, right? It's, although the bipartisan, we have a little bit more awareness of what's in it. But just outline for us what is in. Let's start with the Portland Cinema bill.
So, I mean, that is largely focused on so-called hard infrastructure, built environment stuff. So you have your bridges, there's a decent amount of money for broadband, public transit, Amtrak, and there's some remediation stuff, which is largely happening within oil and gas wells and increasing Superfund cleanup. So that's sort of environmental solution based. There's a lot of money for resiliency. It just says resiliency, and that's exactly where it's going to go. But I presume that we're talking about money to involve for New York and Miami, things of that nature. And so you put that together. I mean, there's money for the electric grid. I think climate advocates were very concerned that there wasn't a whole lot for climate in the bipartisan bill, and that since this other bill looked to be very much along the lines of what Biden put out in the American Families Plan, that climate might get squeezed out. I don't think that ended up being the case. It's not in the blueprint of the budget bill. But that was sort of one of the things.
So two points to make on that bill. My understanding is that bill, if the specific line item is addressed in that bill, it will not be addressed in the reconciliation bill. So if there's $30 billion for internet or $50 billion for trains, you don't get a dollar for that. There's no supplementing that in the reconciliation bill.
Well, that is true, and I think the concern was there was a few things that you could contour and call climate legislation in that important cinema. And the concern was, okay, are they going to say VP of climate in that other bill? That ended up not being the case. reflect a lower level of engagement on the sort of brick and mortar kind of built environment infrastructure spending, but it was mad and the budget deal that more expensive in some ways, rendering the human infrastructure.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the politics around this bill. Chuck Schumer announced, I guess, yesterday that he's going to force a test vote, maybe next Wednesday. But what exactly is that test vote? And do we have a sense of, like, McConnell seems to not be sure about what to do with this on some level. And so let's talk about the dynamics there. I mean, first let's start with the test vote. What does that mean, a test vote?
Well, the thing is going to offer a motion to onto and I think the reason that he's doing this is we got word of this agreement, I think, 3 weeks ago in this forward, and they probably worked on it forever. If a deadline wasn't put in place, it said, all right, enough, and you're either going to do this or not. The other thing that I think is driving the process is that the idea was, okay, we'll do the bipartisan bill, and if it falls apart, we will take those elements and we will put it into the reconciliation. You have to know whether or not that's going to fall apart before you do a budget resolution, because there are specific top-line numbers that you put into the budget resolution. So if they did for the FEMA, that top line is 2.5 trillion in the budget resolution. If they don't do it, you have to expand that to account for this part infrastructure. So I think the idea here is that we need to know whether or not we're going forward on this. And the problem is what the problem always is on these types of bills, and that's the revenue. Republicans have no interest in raising taxes by one line. They very surprisingly got through in the initial framework a increase in funding for the IRS, which would be at odds with the experience of Republicans for the last 10 years. And not surprisingly, conservatives rallied against that, and now they're backing off from including that in the package. So you take that out, and they're just giving a lot less that's available to cover a $579 billion cap. And so this, I think, is a real problem for trying to work through because this whole thing has been set up for the dollars and the offset items.
Now, what is that pay-go thing, where it's $1 spending? I mean, I understand that the concept of the reconciliation bill, because that is, for that reconciliation bill to have parliamentary muster, they have to rejigger it in a way that makes it look like it balances out over the course of 10 years or something. So
okay, you did the rescue fund, which cost $1.9 trillion and had zero offset. You did that in reconciliation, and that's because it was short-term spending, which is not increased budget outside of the
okay, and so, okay, so that's a constraint on the reconciliation, but is there any type of structural?
I mean, there's statutory data which can raise that. Because of that, the complaint is entirely self-generated. It's the Republicans and the moderate Democrats who have put together this framework saying we don't want this to happen together. So, but they don't want to take any of the steps that would have to be taken in order to actually not. So that's where the leverage of the road has been a problem from the very beginning. Actually, it was always going to be a problem because Republicans are simply not interested in increasing taxes or in allowing taxes that are owed to be collected. So I feel like if that's the practice problem, you're going to find out at the beginning of that in a few days. And at that point, you begin to wonder, okay, is this all just a way to go?
And what do we know about tax increases in the reconciliation bill, right? Because we know what Biden wanted in terms of no tax increases under $1,000 and special capital gains. We just don't really know though how it's included in this reconciliation.
Yeah, we don't have specifics. There's not, there's something on corporate taxes, something on individual taxes, something on capital gains taxes. There are three sort of buckets of pay-fors in the reconciliation package, and it actually gets really interesting. So one of them is tax. The second one is prescription drug relief, and that was not in the Biden bill. The Biden American Family Plan or Child Plan did not include prescription drug price reform, which of course, if it saves money for Medicare, is a saving for the federal government to use that savings to pay for the spending. So that could save as much as $500 billion or maybe even more over that 10-year window. It's a tremendous amount of money, and it creates sort of a virtuous circle because for patients also pay less if the government's paying that for prescription drugs. If they're being negotiated at a rate to negotiate down, patients will pay less too, and this is a huge initiative that Democrats have run on for like a decade, that they were going to lower the price of prescription drugs. And it creates a situation where for moderates who are worried about the cost and want to offset it, all right, here's the way to offset it, right? You lower the cost of prescription drugs, break your association with big pharma, and you don't have to lower taxes, you don't have to raise taxes. Because the more that you get out of prescription drug price reform, the less you have to deal with on the tax side. The third bucket is even more interesting because it says long-term economic growth. And we remember this back when the whole idea of the tax cuts basically settled, right? What they said was because taxes will be cut, businesses will invest, will hire more people, and that tax revenues and jobs will flow to the treasury, and that will, we don't have to pay for tax cuts because they will pay themselves. That turned out to not be true. But Democrats are trying to use that notion, and there's a bit more plausibility to it because if you're investing, you're engaging in public investment in physical infrastructure or in human infrastructure, you're creating a situation where people are more educated, they can get a better job, and they can move on and increase their wage, you're increasing productivity. There are reasons and there are economic studies that show that this will increase economic growth. So effectively what they're saying is we're not going to pay for things. And they're not really saying it, but that long-term economic growth means we're just going to go ahead and assume that we're going to have higher growth here, and that's going to cover the cost, the near-term cost of this particular thing. So the three buckets and how they play with one another is going to be very interesting as we move through this process.
I just want to jump back for a second to the bipartisan bill, this test vote. But you just tell us like, specifically, is this is a procedural vote that basically says this bill will be brought to the floor, and so is the idea that if somebody's not going to vote for this bill, that they have to vote against it now? In other words, is it once you take this step, is it locked in that the vote itself is going to happen, or?
I mean, it's not locked in that you would have to vote for it on final passage.
You wouldn't have to vote for it on final passage, but the real issue is will it pass the 60 vote or the 40 vote threat you
need 60 to get on the ship. So this is a check to see do we have 60 votes for this bill, and do we have an actual bill? Because I mean, I think what Tina really wants is an actual bill. So we have actual language, we're not just glittering the entire summer away. So is gonna file closer on it on Monday, so he said. So I know there's been a lot of negotiations between, the Democrats and Republicans who've been putting together this bill. And, yeah, let's see if they have to. And, I mean, the court thing has come out, and he's the co-sponsor of it, and said, if we're not ready to go by next week, I'm gonna say no. So, I think it's very unclear whether or not they have that, but it will be an indicator of whether or not Schumer and the Senate Democrats will need to factor in the hard infrastructure into their broader legislation.
What do you think McConnell's perspective on this? Because it just seems a little bit, I don't want to say deer in the headlights, but it's not clear that McConnell seems to have less of a sort of like a sure-footedness about this than in the past. Usually, like, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, he's like, we're never going to pass this. But he's been, it seems like they're not sure what they should do here.
I'd say two things. Number one, Courtney's kind of seen tenant of McConnell, so he doesn't really, I think, undercut him at this point. And the second is this whole two-stage process. This has been kind of memory hole, but it was just the Republican idea. Their idea was, we'll give you a modest amount of infrastructure spending, and we will watch and laugh as you are not able to put together the broader reconciliation bill. And that will fall apart. And the Republicans will get a partial win, some of our members will get a partial win on roads and bridges, and then we'll take that to the next. That was their idea, that they could go ahead, take credit for a fiscal infrastructure bill, and then watch everything else go on. Now that Democrats seem to be getting it together, the court comments today from Houston saying it's not going to be I think there's a little more hesitancy. And I think the big turning point was when Pelosi, agreeing with progressives, said, we're not going to pass any of this stuff until we get two bills in the Senate, until we get bipartisan bill and the legislature. So then they figured out, here's a way to have issues that everyone in the party might accord with, although I think there's going to still be some. I think there's probably going to be more in House, and that's maybe a minority view, but seeing what I'm seeing in terms of the Senate getting together on the field, and knowing that there are House members who are much more deficit concerned, who have spoken out against the pieces of the bill, and who are much more invested in things like the state and local tax deduction, which is sort of really wrenched into this, which costs a lot of money, and you have to backfill that with more revenue offset.
This is like Gottheim and Jersey, and there's a couple of those in
So I think the House is actually that bipartisan on the field, and we don't want to lose. And progressives are saying no, we don't want to be losing the football league once they wait until both bills are passed, and then we pass everything in one shot, we all leave together. That's I think where we see get very interesting. But
sidebar. There was a new pack. The Democrats have a pack out there for protecting humans, and they are literally spending money to protect. It's not going to be progressive who are not going to sign on for this package. It is the people that are spending money to protect from the progressives who are balking at this bill.
I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, Pelosi, whatever you do, Pelosi knows how to rank. And I think ultimately she might be able to do that, but I think she have a problem with certain aspects of it. And especially if Nancy, sort of the fight that Nancy used to do on the climate pieces of the reconciliation bill, I think that might be problematic for progressives and The Republican dream design here is that they would pass a bipartisan bill and then watch